learning how the gun's behaving, how we can make it behave better, making sure we're focused on a target. So the core fundamentals, gripping the gun correctly and looking at a small spot. We're going to execute that and then pay attention to how the gun behaves. Make an example for you. Notice there, draw the gun, look at a small spot, pair. Now, we're going to do this at a bunch of different distances. I mean, we'll back up and do this, of course. What do you think we're looking for an outcome?
Like you? Oh, alpha.
What if we're at 30 yards?
Around the alpha,
What if we're at 40 yards?
close Charlie. Alphas and close Charlies, but mostly alphas.
Acceptable accuracy.
What is that?
Alpha close Charlie at 40.
It's gonna, I mean, so I'll just say this is division dependent, it's equipment dependent. The guys with open guns, I'm gonna ask you to shoot it a lot differently than guys shooting minor guns. Why?
Because we're a major scorer.
What else do you have?
Comp.
Comp. Yeah, you have major scoring and you have a comp, which is a huge advantage at distance. At this distance, with good technique, it's not gonna matter a whole lot. But the way you can shoot that gun at 25 yards is a lot different than what people can do with other guns. And doing exercise, like, you're gonna have to figure that out. The way that I like to kind of articulate it or think about it is I'll look at the guys that I'm competing against in that division, whatever it is. And it's like, what I see them doing in a match, I need to be able to do better than that in practice. So, hey, you look at footage of guys shooting open, like, how does Christian do? Do like transition to a 30-yard target, like pop, pop, and move away? And it's gonna be like you're talking about. It's gonna be clusters of A's and C's, and it's very repeatable stage after stage, shooting like quarter-second splits at 30 yards, about 20 splits, anything closer, right? This is your experience, right?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. I mean, so they have an understanding of what the fuck you're trying to do. Now, when we're doing this, the speed has got to happen. So I'll make an example for you. That's a pretty typical pattern. What happened? What broke down, maybe? You're just saying, maybe. It's okay if you don't know.
Like you were slapping the trigger.
Any other ideas? Okay. Did one thing go wrong or more than one thing?
Two, at least two.
Yeah. At least two.
Oh, you got a couple down.
Some guy, a couple up here. I'll tell you what I did. This is a very common pattern. I drew looking at a spot, shifted my attention onto the dot, stared at the red dot, fired a pair. I just didn't put any input into the gun. I didn't return it. I just didn't want to move it around, so I just shot and it went up in recoil. So first shot, second shot. First shot, second shot. Then I returned the gun back down, stared at the dot, and I pushed down on the gun to stop it from rising up in the first place. So first shot, second shot. First shot, second shot. That kind of thing. What I would like from you guys is that you can shoot a string at an aggressive pace like that and you can articulate what's happening. Does that make sense? Now that's a heavy lift, honestly. If that seems easy to you to understand what's going on, that's a heavy lift. But over the course of a couple hundred rounds getting acclimated to what's going on, you're gonna understand what you're doing. Now this drill is very key, I think. Why? Because this is like 90% of the shooting in the sport. Is that fair to say?
Yeah.
I mean, pretty much, this is most times you engage a target. It'll be, you move, you draw, you reel, whatever. You get the gun to the target, and then you're going to engage it with an aggressive pair like this. So this has to be on point. The gun behavior has to be on point. Now, is slowing down going to be the ticket here?
No.
Yeah, we can always tighten up the pattern by slowing down our shooting. But what you're going to find, maybe the guys who here the last couple days, maybe you guys can speak to this. You'll have people that get very comfortable doing it the way they're doing it. There's guys here that are A class, M class level, but you watch me like, yeah, that dude's practiced, he's very good. But then we say, hey, go faster. Something will break, right? We don't know what exactly. Maybe you'll tense up your shoulders, maybe you'll tense up your hand, maybe your support hand leaves it, whatever. I don't know what's gonna happen. But something counterproductive is gonna happen. So what a very common pattern you see with people's development is they shoot in a way that they're comfortable. They get up to here to the plateau, I mean, everything becomes a habit and they're just kind of chilling right here. Then they're like, oh, I want to get better now. Okay, then you're like, all right, man, go faster. Then they start ramping up the speed, and what happens?
All simple.
Yeah, everything, like stuff breaks, and they built in a bunch of habits that need to get changed. So we don't want to approach it that way. We want to shoot really aggressively, understand where we're trying to be, and then just kind of leapfrog to there, as opposed to shoot in a way that's comfortable, get kind of sort of good. That's like A class, right? Do you agree with that? If you're physically fit and everything, A class is kind of sort of good. Like you can do all the stuff that you can reload fast and draw and hit everything, and usually they're pretty good, but they're not as fast or as good as they want to be, and there's usually habits holding them back. That's what I'm saying. Does it make sense to everybody?
Yeah.
All right, so we'll talk about this a lot. We'll do like little kind of awareness exercises here, but this is the key. We're going to shoot the gun really aggressively. I would rather you be able to articulate to me what's wrong, or like what you're seeing happen, or what you're experiencing, why the holes are the way they are, rather than you shoot a tidy little group like that. You're not going to learn anything from that. You're just proving that you can shoot in a way that you're comfortable. Make sense to everybody?
Sure.
All right, we're going to divide into two groups, black and white.